Hello and welcome. I'd not planned to make videos in rapid succession. When I say I'm talking about the lower self, I. So I apologize if it seems like an unloading. I wish to talk about the numbers 1, 4 and 7. And it may appear to some of you that, particularly when I'm talking about this Junus, that I'm going off on a tangent that doesn't seem connected to anything else. It's actually quite the opposite. We're in the year 2024. So in 16 years it will be 2040. Everything that comes into this physical material reality is subject to time. So this birth of Junus that has just happened, symbolized by the solar eclipse on the 8th, it actually sort of fully emerged on the 7th of April. So there's a 7-4. It's the return of the One. It is the second coming. It's the oversoul that has delegated down and given birth basically to a sun in connection with Earth, because it actually all comes from beneath your feet. Why do you think you have on the bottoms of your feet what are called soles? When we talk about the soul, it's because this is a inverted reality. Now, some of you will be feeling the effects that time seems to be getting faster. This has been given as evidence to me in one of the previous videos, episode 3. I think it's that one, 35 minutes long, and it took just 24 minutes to upload. So that is a sort of showing of the energy. Consider also why this platform is called YouTube. We are magnetic beings. We radiate out from the heart. We radiate out an energy which spirals out. Now, if you elongate that spiral, it is going to begin to look like a tube, hence YouTube. Where do I want to go next with this? Yes, there's been some interesting things happening, not least the stopping of time, the stopping of Big Ben at 9 o'clock, and then striking 10 times when it's restarted. So you've got a 9 and a 10, so it's showing you a 9 and to a 1. At this time, and I've seen this on footage, thanks to Find the Light RB channel. The video, I'll put the link in the description, is King Charles is Dead. It's a psychic penetration, looking at what is going on in this world. So the solar eclipse, it's symbolic of a beginning of a cycle and the start of a new cycle. So what is interesting, what was shown in the external, which is confirming what is happening in the external, which is something Jason has talked about the second seal. At the time of that stopping of Big Ben in St. Stephen's Tower in London, and then the starting up and ringing 10 times, this, I imagine they must be police horses. There's a white horse with blood on it running down the street out of control. Then there's a darker colour horse. I'm not sure if it's dark brown. I've only seen very sort of hazy footage of it. It collides with a bus and dies. So you've got the white horse with the blood on it, representing the first seal. You've got the second horse which collides with the bus, which represents the second seal. This is showing in the external the play out of everything. Now if we consider a bus, it is an abbreviation for its full term, which is an omnibus. Omni means for all. So the bus represents, this is a message for all of humanity, those that are on board with seeing the esoteric being played out in the exoteric. A word that came up on, it was Euler's tea leaf reading. I'll put a link in the description. It's for Gemini, so if you're a Gemini, a gem in I, it is worth listening to that. But for the rest of you, listen to the last maybe 5 minutes of that video that I put the link in the description to. The affirmation cards say it is here, it is now. So I, as much as anything, have to go along with what is being instructed through me to release the videos. It is all subject to time. So this arrival of Junus, by the time we get to 2040, the Phoenix event will be 16 years old. By the time we get to 2046, it will be over 21, the coming of age. So all is in hand. Junus encapsulates and surrounds the earth, everything. It's behind the sky. It is like a hand. It is referenced in the Bible as the potter. What does a potter do in this physical reality? The hands are on the outside to shape something that it creates. It also tells you in scripture that man was made from the dust and the clay, or made from the earth. It's talking about the physical body. Interestingly, with the timing on my left hand, I've also, I don't know how clearly this is going to show up, I have a hole in my hand. It's a blister. It's only on the left hand because it is referring to a story from the past. This may sound very egoic, but it's not intended that way. It's just the body tells on the mind. So you may have sensations of time seems to be speeding up. You may have sensations or feelings that time seems to not be moving at all. You're wondering why things aren't happening. You want this perceived evil to hurry up and go, and such like. You want all these famous names that everybody is taught to love to hate to vanish or disappear or be arrested or whatever. And in a way you could say it's wishing a negative thought. Consider when it says, and the word was made flesh. If it is made flesh, therefore surely it is something to do with physical action. Hence it is an interactive realm where you have to take active steps. This is backed up with what Jason on Archaic says. This is backed up with what Neville Goddard says. When things can be seen from multiple angles, this comes down to, I can testify from my own experiences, it is about taking action. As much as anything, the action can be with this radical change inside, and therefore it changes the energy that you radiate out. I have actually experienced this, well, by doing this, although nothing looks any different, the people that you encounter are much friendlier. They're more likely to smile, and I invite you to try this for yourself. And again, if you are struggling, then do please come and talk to me. The door is open. Which reminds me of how beautifully something was shown to me to relay to you. And that was also came out in Euler's tea leaf reading about express things in nature, I believe. So I can use nature to express this, to do with the number 4. Yesterday was the contrast of maybe half an hour of sunshine. It's doing the similar today with the cloud and the sunlight coming through, which you'll probably see in the background. I mean, I remember when I first started this video, it was mostly blue sky with cloud. Now you can see behind me it's turned to cloud. So yesterday it went on all day, this sequence of rain, sun, for about half an hour at a time. And there were times where there were both rain and sun. So there's a trinity. So what's the fourth bit that's missing? Now you could say it's night time, but that wouldn't eliminate the sun or the rain. It can still do that at night. Sorry, the dry and the rain, you could say, if it was at night, obviously there wouldn't be sunlight, it would be moonlight. But that again can disappear behind the clouds. But there's another fourth aspect that is so easy to overlook. That is the one that is unseen. That is the one that you could say is immaterial. That is the one inside us when we perceive that it's raining one minute or it's sunshine the next. How easy is it for us to look at oh, it's raining, how disappointing. Because certainly when the sun comes out, which it is doing now, it changes the energy, and it is easy to then make a judgment on when it's raining it's bad, when it is sunny it is good. But personally it worked out a perfect combination, because I was able to do a bit of weed clearing to prepare an area as another growing bed, and in that, for there to be a creation, there has to be a destruction. They were basically wild flowers, and they finished their flowering, so it's like, now they've finished their flowering, I've enjoyed the radiance of the colour of the purples and the blues and the yellows. It's time to make a clearing, a reset, you could say, to be able to plant what will probably be a space for tomato plants because of its good sunny position. So that fourth element, if you've got rain one minute, sun the next, then both rain and sun, there's your three. So the fourth is the internal perspective, making a judgment on something being good or bad. But when it's raining, it is actually doing a far better job than I could do with watering the plants. It should be quite apparent by now that man cannot improve upon nature. But man will continue to try this. So you've got this. Let's explain the 741 in a slightly different way as well here. The total of the 7, the 4 and the 1, or the 7, the 1 and the 4 makes 12. So that is a representation of 12 disciples. So if we look at the 12 disciples, you've got 4 with the Gospels. You've got 1 that sells out for 30 pieces of silver. So that leaves 7. So there's a 714 expressed. The 7 is the chakras, which will open the door, which is the number 4. In the Garden of Eden, you get half the story. You get the story of the tree of life. You get the story of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, the balance. Between those two is the tree of balance. There is also a 4th tree in that garden, the number 4, which is the tree of death, which is the doorway into this reality, into this physical realm. Something else connected with the number 4, and I'm using a King James Bible here, and I looked in the index. So it's Ephesians. So this list of books of the New Testament is on a sort of preface page V. The V, which I explained in the last video, represents the devil, the pulling you down. religion talks about trinities. That's why it's 66 books, because it is roughly 66% of the truth, because it's what it doesn't say. A prime example of that, the word was made flesh, but consider, once that word has been made flesh, what is it going to do? So anyway, it's page V, and it's the 10th book of the New Testament, Ephesians, which starts on page 273, which adds up to 12, and it consists of 6 chapters, because it is to do with the mind's eye, the 6th chakra. So it's Ephesians chapter 4, verse 4, so you've got a 44 there, the 4 is the door. But I'd like to start with the first 3 verses. So verse 1, I therefore, the prisoner of the Lord, beseech you that ye walk worthy of the vocation wherewith ye are called. So it's saying about following that calling, that true purpose that you are here for. That is what I feel I am doing, and being, shall we say, a voice or an ambassador for Junus, but I know I'm not the only one. It's not about personal glory, it's very much the opposite. It's about the impersonal life. That is a title by a book called Joseph Benner, which you can find in the playlist, very well worth hearing. So verse 2 of chapter 4 of Ephesians, with all lowliness and meekness, with long suffering, forbearing one another in love, endeavouring to keep the unity of the Spirit in the bond of peace. Devouring, so it's enlightenment that is devouring the darkness. So when we come on to chapter 4, verse 4, there it's in italics. There is, that's in italics, one body and one spirit, even as ye are called in one hope of your calling. So it's a personal message to each of you. The scriptures is basically just a guidebook. If you find yourself in a strange city, it would be a good idea to have a guidebook to find out where things are in relation to each other. Likewise, the scripture is the script for you to find yourself. So verse 5, one Lord, one faith, one baptism. Verse 6, one God and Father of all, who is above all, and through all, and in you all. But unto, verse 7, but unto every one of us is given grace according to the measure of the gift of Christ. So this is basically saying it's nothing to do with the physical. It's how you feel inside, how open you are to not be fixed to any belief system, how you can internalize and process what you're taking in through the physical eyes, how you can weigh things up inside yourself. And it tells you in there that determines to what measure that this Christ seed will come into you. So what you're going to experience in the run-up to 2040, working through this energy of this Junus, it is not unlike watching the development of a baby, because remember, this is coming into the conformity of physical time, so it will reach the age of 16, as it were, by the time we get to 2040. So just as with a physical baby, there's the milestones, which are the smile tones. When that baby learns to turn over, when that baby starts to crawl, when that baby takes its first steps, masters the ability to feed itself, and so on. And this will be reflected energetically, so don't be surprised if you get very strange sensations. Some days you're going to feel more tired, other days you may feel far more inspired in various ways. You're going to get all sorts strange sensations that you are going to feel physically, but I want you to be aware and to embrace this inside yourself, that there is nothing to fear. I've already explained in the previous video what the devil really is. It is your friend. If we go to another playlist on this channel, Where to Start, there's 2 children's stories, and one of them is the journey of the little soul that wants to come in to experience a human experience. So its best friend, as it were, will come in to play the adversary, because you're in a realm of contrast. I'm sure you've all heard of the term on the rebound in association with relationships, and how often do rebounds go well. Nothing is coming from up there, as it were, in the stars, in the sky. It's all a bounce back. It's all a reflection. You're in a realm of smoke and mirrors, which is spirit and matter. But it's just like a reflection or a shadow. So, as I've said before, if you look in the mirror, in what is shown in the physical, when you go left, it goes right. It cannot do anything of itself. It is a reflection of you, like this entire world is. You've also got the shadow aspect, where the vertical axis things can be elongated, like stretching the truth would be an example, or compressing, like a shadow can become very short, depending on your proximity and position to the source of light. And it is always important to check sources of information, asking yourself if you know something to be true, internalizing everything, weighing it up in feeling. Feeling is the true sight. It is expressed as the zodiac sign for Libra. It's a divine feminine that's blindfolded, so it's weighing up in feeling. You basically got 16 years to find that internal balance, so you pass that test of weighing the heart against the feather. So that feather will then become your quill, where you can write your own story. So going back over the 1, 4 and 7, the chakra system, it is finding the 1 by opening up those 7 chakras, which the 4 comes into it because that is the doorway. That is the part that is unseen. That is the equivalent of the second light, which is represented in tarot by the moon, the mysterious, the unknown. It's a cold light, but think about what ice can do compared to what fire can do. Do they not both burn? So you can have extreme cold and extreme heat, but they will both burn. It all comes back. It's all circular. It's all a series of time loops. Again, you only have to look at what nature does. Effectively, everything that is grown in waste matter, degraded biological life forms that are transmuted. So this second coming, it brings with it a living death, a death of oneself, of the lower self, the overcoming of self. This is the experience I have gone through. So I'm giving you personal testimony from what I feel inside. Now, it doesn't matter whether you believe me or not. All I hope is that this may unlock ways for you to find that within yourself, so you experience it as well. The only way you're ever going to know the truth, and look at the center of the word truth, it has you in it. There is no coincidences with anything. So I hope that has helped you, and I'm sending out love to you all of you, unconditionally.